one Marine, 12 incoming German bombers, and a lonely anti-aircraft position everyone had already written off as a death sentence. This is the story of how a single U.S. Marine stood his ground against overwhelming odds and turned what was expected to be a massacre into one of the most astonishing defensive stands of the war. January 21st, 1944. Anzio, Italy. The U.S. Sixth Corps had just established its beachhead. The Germans were rushing everything they could to crush it, including waves of Luftwaffe bombers targeting ammunition dumps, fuel depots, and the fragile front line. At the northern tip of the perimeter sat an exposed rise the Marines grimly nicknamed Suicide Point. It overlooked everything, but it also could be seen from everywhere. And on that cold winter morning, one Marine, Private First Class Daniel Harper, 1st Defense Battalion, attached to the 3rd Infantry Division, manned a lone 40mm Bofors gun. He didn't know it yet, but in less than an hour, 12 German bombers would descend straight toward him, and he would not run. What happened next would shock every man who witnessed it and become one of the most remarkable footnotes of the Italian campaign. PFC Daniel Harper was 22 years old, a farm kid from Iowa. Quiet, stubborn, methodical, the kind of Marine who learned every bolt of his weapon, every angle of fire, every sound an incoming aircraft made. He had been transferred from a stateside coastal battery to Italy as part of an emergency reinforcement. The Luftwaffe was still dangerous here, especially its Ju-88 and He-111 bomber groups. Suicide Point wasn't its official name, just what the infantrymen called it. A small ridge carved into clay and fractured rock, overlooking the entire beachhead. A perfect anti-aircraft observation point, which meant it was also a perfect target. 2 days earlier, a German 170mm round had wiped out the previous crew. Harper and 2 other Marines had been sent to replace them. But that morning, the other 2 Marines were hauling ammunition back from the depot. Harper insisted he stay on the gun, just in case. The sky was overcast. Low clouds hung like a lid over the battlefield. The temperature hovered just above freezing. Mud sucked at boots. Artillery rumbled in the distance, the constant soundtrack of Anzio. But at 8:42, Harper heard something else. A deep, steady hum, the sound of multiple aircraft engines. Low, approaching fast. He swung the Bofors barrel toward the northeast sky, and that's when he saw them, the black shapes emerging from the clouds. 12 German Ju-88A, 4 bombers from Kampfgeschwader 54, flying in tight formation, headed straight for the Marine lines. He was alone, and they were coming right at him. By 0900 hours, the Luftwaffe had committed nearly a full squadron to break the beachhead. The British destroyers offshore had reported enemy bombers forming over Rome and moving south. Harper radioed in multiple bogies, bearing northeast, low altitude, heading for Suicide Point. Command responded, hold position, engage at will. He swallowed hard, held his breath, and waited. The formation descended to barely 1,200 feet, dangerously low for bombers, but perfect for a precision strike on the American fuel depot behind Harper's Hill. He could already see the silhouettes of the rear gunners, already hear the growing roar of 12 Junkers engines. The Bofors 40mm was a superb AA weapon, fast-firing, deadly, accurate. But normally it was crewed by 4 men, not 1. Harper locked his boots against the metal plates, adjusted the sights, braced himself. The first German bombs tumbled from the bellies of the lead aircraft. The beachhead erupted in plumes of exploding earth. Harper opened fire. The Bofors thundered. The recoil hammered his chest. Shell casings rained around him as the gun spat bursts of 40mm tracer into the sky. The first bomber crossed his field of fire, and its left engine burst into flames. The Junkers spiraled down, crashing into an olive grove. 1 down, 11 to go. By 0907 hours, the German formation split, half moving to strike the beachhead, the other half circling for another run at Harper's position. He swung the gun again, the muscles in his shoulders burning under the strain. He fired. Rounds tore through the second bomber's cockpit, pitched nose down and disappeared behind a ridge. 2 down. The Luftwaffe gunners opened up, strafing Suicide Point with 7.92 millimeters machine gun fire. Bullets snapped past Harper's head. Chips of rock sprayed his face. A round ripped through his sleeve. He didn't stop firing. "Hold on, Danny," he heard through the radio. "Reinforcements moving to your position." But the infantry were still hundreds of yards away. By 09:12, the third bomber came in low, trying to suppress him. Harper waited, then fired a full burst. The bomber's starboard wing separated cleanly, cartwheeled into the sea. 3 down, but the incoming fire intensified. The ground around the Bofors erupted with impacts. His ears rang. Smoke choked the air, and still he fought back. The fourth bomber released its payload directly over Harper's ridge. The shockwave blasted him off the gun. He hit the ground hard, coughing, ears bleeding. The Bofors lay half buried in dirt and shattered rock. For a moment, everything went silent. Just a high ringing in his ears and a distant mechanical drone. He forced himself up. His hands shook, but the gun still worked. He kicked debris away, grabbed the elevation wheel, and began firing again. The fifth bomber screamed overhead, and he shredded its underbelly. Flames poured from the fuselage as it careened north and exploded. For left in the immediate wave, Harper's position was now a crater. Smoke billowed around him. A burning fuel canister hissed against the snow-streaked mud. He was dizzy from the concussion, nauseous, half-blind, but he stayed at the gun. The sixth bomber dove in, guns blazing. A spray of bullets tore across the metal shield. One round ricocheted and struck Harper's left hand. He cried out but kept moving. He timed the approach, squeezed the trigger, and the bomber disintegrated midair. But he could barely stand now. His vision blurred. His breath came in short gasps. By 09:20, German spotters had identified Suicide Point as the source of the losses. Command ordered the remaining bombers to eliminate the AA gun at all costs. 8 more aircraft broke formation, 8 against 1, and Harper had less than half a belt of ammunition left. The next bomber came in low, too low. Harper fired the last of his belt, blowing off its engine. But that left him empty. He stared at the silent gun, then at the incoming formation. The Germans were seconds away. And then, over the radio, "Harper, ammo coming up. Hold on." 2 Marines, breathless, terrified, were sprinting up the ridge carrying crates of 40mm shells. Harper didn't waste a second. He shoved in a new belt. The gun clacked, cycled, came alive again. He fired. The 7th bomber exploded. He fired again. The 8th broke apart in midair. Smoke blinded him. His lungs burned. His shoulder throbbed. Blood soaked his sleeve. But his arms moved with a strange, mechanical precision. The 9th bomber banked sharply, trying to escape the madman on the ridge. Harper tracked it, fired, spiraled down. The 10th bomber released its bombs early and tried to flee. Harper clipped its tail. It slammed into the hillside. The 11th attempted a high pass. Harper anticipated the angle, fired a long burst, and the bomber burst into a ball of flame. Only one remained. The 12th bomber lined up directly with Harper's position, a suicide run. Harper fired. The bomber continued. He fired again, still coming. Then one last burst. His wing tore off. The bomber flipped, passed over Harper's head by mere yards, and exploded behind the ridge. Silence. Harper's arms sagged. His breathing slowed. The battlefield fell quiet except for distant artillery and the crackle of burning debris. He had done the impossible. By 09:40 hours, the sky over Anzio was clear. Not a single German bomber remained in the air. 12 had attacked Suicide Point. 12 had been shot down. Reinforcements finally reached the ridge. They found Harper barely conscious, slumped against the Bofors, his hands burned and bleeding, his uniform torn to shreds. One soldier whispered, "Jesus, one man did this?" The fuel depot remained intact, the command post untouched, the beachhead held. In the days that followed, reports circulated through 6 Corps headquarters describing Harper's stand as one of the most extraordinary acts of valor in the Italian campaign. Harper was recommended for the Navy Cross and later The award citation officially credited him with destroying 12 enemy aircraft in a single engagement, one of the highest individual tallies by any ground-based gunner in the war. But Harper never bragged. He simply said, "I was doing my job, that's all." His actions became a quiet legend among the men at Anzio, the Marine who turned a hopeless ridge into a fortress, and who faced 12 German bombers alone. This was just one of countless untold stories from the Second World War. Subscribe to World War II Files as we continue to bring these forgotten chapters of history back to life.